How'd you feel about the chef event we went to last night? Or 2 nights
Man,
ago? What was that?
that was 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making show, aka the M4 show. King, where can they tap in with us?
Y'all can tap in with us at www.them4show.com. Also tap in with us on Instagram at the M4 Show. If you got topics that you want to see, hit us in the DMs. We appreciate you.
Now let's get into the episode. That was fantastic.
How so?
It was like, so I think it was interesting because you go over someone's house for dinner. And I feel like it's usually a different type of experience than if you were to go to a restaurant. It feels more homey,
For sure.
yeah, when we eat here, we eat on paper plates, no shame,
Yeah.
But I feel like it was a mixture of that homey feeling because it was still very homey, just talking, that type of thing, but the food experience was very elevated.
For sure.
Yeah, it was like you're at a restaurant, one being served. I also feel like at home, it's like, okay, you grab your plate, you serve yourself. The being served, it's small, but the psychology of it makes you feel like, oh, this was prepared for me.
Right.
And then, yeah, the 3 courses, we had a salad, we had some Guyanese chicken and a pasta, homemade pasta. And then, that cookies and homemade ice cream, the fact that everything was homemade was crazy, but elevated it and it made you feel good about eating it. But yeah, just
we gotta talk about the fact that there was no chicken eggs and he used goose
duck egg.
duck eggs.
No, wait. No, you're right. He had both. There was duck egg and goose eggs. I think he said he'd use goose egg for something else for the pasta.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was using duck egg for the cookies. I've never heard of that.
Another level.
But yeah, it was cool just seeing dang, there's these people. It was it was a thing. We were the newbies of the group, but oh, this is a thing. Coming around, just talking it was. I liked that it wasn't, everybody wasn't on their phones. It was, they were just talking about random stuff, but nonetheless talking. Yeah, I really enjoyed the experience.
Good vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like you left inspired. What was it about that experience that left you? Cause I feel like when we go to Michelin star restaurant, I feel like you also leave kind of inspired, but I feel like there's a different level of inspiration leaving Chef Greg's house than I've seen in other places.
Because I think for me, again, it's I associate the Michelin star experience, the multi-courses, the everything being homemade sauces, homemade salad dressings with a restaurant that's making hella money. Because you got the time, you got the resources to do that. At home, God bless their heart, we didn't pay a dime. We brought gifts, right? But we didn't pay anything. The fact that this is literally a labor of love, that you just do at home because you want to do this, that was different for me. And I think that's what would turn on the switch of yes, you cook as a love language, but it doesn't have to be every meal, but every now and then take it up a notch and really show that oh, I've prepared this meal for you, and I think just making everything from scratch, just really, I associate the work and effort that goes into cooking with love. So I feel seeing that extra step of, again, making your own sauces and salad dressings and pasta and just everything being homemade, that's a labor. And so very much a labor of love that I think is well appreciated among the people that eat it. So I think that was just inspiring to me of okay, every now and then take it up a notch when you're trying to, because I do like the feeling of going to a restaurant and being served, but I also like the feeling of serving and want to give that to people too. So yeah, it felt good for me to experience that, not in a restaurant setting, but it also made me wow, I want to do this for people.
Yeah. I feel like what it is, and I've experienced this for myself. I think when a business does it, it seems like there's a lot of hands in the kitchen. It seems like there's a lot of resources, so it seems a little bit distant. But when you see a person, one person that that you see that seems normal to you, and they're doing this extraordinary stuff, it makes the extraordinary possible and real for you as well.
Like a dad, just a regular guy. I feel like that's the other thing that oh, I don't have time to cook. I got kids. And it's no, this man has kids. He's got a wife. He's got a business. All these things, and he's still making all these things from scratch. I see a Nora Smith on TikTok. I've showed you her videos, and just like she's being sensationalized because it's crazy that she makes all these things homemade. But to see it in a real life setting of like
Didn't
again
she
like
make like water from scratch?
not water
And you first you get the hydrogen, then you
pair it with the oxygen. No, but she did make gum,
mm,
like just boba, like just things that's like just girl, just go to the store.
yeah.
But no, but again, like I think she's an anomaly because she spends so much time making these things for her family.
Mm,
But to see that in real life, like okay, that's cool on TikTok, it's entertaining, whatever. I'm sure part of that is for real life. I'm sure some of it is for production. To be able to see how it can look like real life, like the fact that his daughter came down and was like, I made, what did she say? Honeycomb pancakes or honey butter, some type of thing. And I'm like, this is like a maybe like a 10, 12-year-old daughter. I'm just like, you made what? Like that's
yeah.
crazy. Like, and just to see like, wow, he's also rubbing off on his family and like the things I imagine his kids just have a palate that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing how it can be translated into real life was cool because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I could do that.
I also
Or
like to see how excellence is what's the word for it? It's contagious,
hmm
right? I think you show excellence to your kids and then they grow up thinking this is the standard. Honeycomb from scratch pancakes are the standard. Goose eggs inside of my spaghetti or whatever the noodles is a standard and then they just grow up excellent. And
yep,
it's why it's important to have that network of people around you that are at that high level.
yep,
And I think that's something that I learned or not learned, but got re-inspired through when we went to Tulsa and we had our teammates at David Buster's
hmm
and some great conversations were being had. But particularly there were these two team members that they were talking about habits
hmm
and how like you are what you do consistently and you're the only one that's getting in the way of your own goals. And I
hmm
was sitting there listening. I was trying not to like being like the
yeah,
boss. I don't want to like interject inside the conversations and sway it a certain way. So I was listening for most of it. But it reminded me a lot of how I used to think when I was fresh out of college, a little bit more hustler focused, a
hmm
little bit more on myself, hungry, broke, right? And I think there's a certain mindset that came with that. And I think as we've gotten a house and we've gotten month-long vacations and we're
comfortable.
wine tasting in Cape Town, I gotten comfortable.
hmm
So it was good to kind of get connected to that hunger again. And I think that's shifted my habits coming back from Tulsa, my workout habits, my working habits, how much I'm writing. So yeah, I think the people that you keep around you, the excellence that you keep around you is contagious. And I
Yep,
think it's important that we continue to make sure that as we do get successful, we continue to network and be around people that push us a
yep.
little bit. I think Chef Greg did that. I think
hmm
people in our team did that. People in our life do that. So I think we just need to be intentional about spending more time with those circles of people.
Yes, absolutely. I even like think about like Daniel, the fact that you running these half
Yeah,
marathons, because it wouldn't be me.
that's a fact. A fact. 5K, you were strong with the
I
5K,
got you.
but now the 5K, that's a practice. Like I'll run a five. I ran two 5Ks this week.
Must be nice.
I ran two 5Ks. I
I'm
would.
trying to get to a
I don't
10K.
know.
I can do a 10K. That is the maximum I
6 miles. I'm gonna run a 10K next week. You gotta run with
so
me?
so that's my half marathon. So am I just gonna go and run a half marathon next week? No, I can work my way there though.
Understood. Understood. Baby
I'll
steps.
I'll start with a mile.
There you go. There you go. You mile next week. So if we run the same time, you'll just stop and I'll just keep going. I'll
Okay.
see you in an hour.
See you. See you when you get back.
That works. uh but yeah, a lot of great conversations. Great's a strong word. There are a lot of interesting conversations
Yes.
at the dinner. And I think marriage and relationships kept coming up.
hmm
In your opinion, what is the hardest part about either being married or marriage that you've experienced? And like pretend like I'm not your husband when you say this, so you can hurt my feelings if you need to.
Right.
I'm just a guy with a beard,
Just a guy that I'm
luscious
hanging out
beard
with
and
in my
locks.
backyard.
Yeah,
Interesting. Um,
don't talk to strangers, Sinclair. Yeah, what's
um,
the hardest part of marriage for you?
I think effective communication is
Mm-hmm.
probably the most important and hardest part because it sounds so simple. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just communicate. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
But like effective communication and learning, because you can't just say the first thought that comes to your head at all
Negative.
times. That's
Don't even say the third one. Just wait.
you like filter it through about 6 times
Yeah, that's
before
good.
you get to what is going to be effective for your partner. So I think one, learning, which hopefully you've done before marriage, but that's a continual learning process because people change. Um, but I think learning what is effective communication.
What's effective in our marriage? I wanna get narrow.
Um,
What's
so like
effective?
we've had situations in the past or conversations in the past where I've said something that is um it, probably the first thought in my head, like you've proposed an idea, right? And I was just kind of like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
like nah, that doesn't work, right? And you expressed how that kind of shrunk you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paraphrasing your words, but made you feel like I didn't believe in you, made you feel like I didn't support your dreams because I was just so quick to say like no. So like I had to take that and be like, okay, when there is an idea proposed, which happens all the time
All
because we
the
have
time.
ideas, right? And I want to make sure we're fostering that environment because that's how we got here in the first place, right? Was an idea. So I want to make sure that my communication style is not dampering that. So right now, when you bring an idea, I stop,
Mm-hmm.
I think about it. What do I like about this idea? Do I think what do I think about this idea could work? Where are some holes in the idea, or what questions do I have about the idea? Because I
Mm-hmm.
know you also value that, but I have to frame it now. I frame it in the form of a question,
Right.
right? Um, have we thought about this? What are we gonna do in this scenario?
Mm-hmm.
But I also like practice the sandwich method that I know you do with me too, right? Interesting idea, or hi, I like the idea. It could work in this way. I'm also thinking about, how are we going to tackle these things, right? And I think that package seems to be a more effective way to communicate to you that doesn't shut you down. That's not like, oh, okay, guess that wasn't a good idea. It's like, okay, this could work, but here's some things. Again, posing it as a question, you're now wanting to answer it. You're now searching through, right?
Right.
And wanting to answer it, which I think brings more out of you rather than shutting you down.
Correct.
So that's an example of like how I've had to um, change my communication style to make sure that it is effective
Mm-hmm.
for the end goal, which should always be, either a new idea we can do or, just furthering us, progressing us as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
as a marriage, as a unit.
Yeah, it's good. I like thinking about or your approach of what do I want to get out of this conversation? Because I think effective communications means that you're going to use a different method depending on who you're talking to, depending
Mm-hmm.
on the situation of even us two talking together. There might be some ideas where it's like, okay, I absolutely don't want him to do this idea at all. How
Right.
do I communicate that? And there might be other ideas where it's like, okay, it's a decent one. It could bear some fruit. How do I communicate that?
Right.
Um, yeah, it's a learning process for sure.
Right. Because to your point, like it doesn't mean that there are some ideas that I'm gonna pretend to entertain when I'm like not,
Yeah,
right? So
this is
that's
not
I'm
it.
like, nope, I'm gonna veto that because I'm just like, there's no world where that's gonna work.
Right.
So still making sure that I'm expressing my true thoughts, but putting it in a package
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense, and again, is gonna get to the end goal of what we want.
Right.
And I think that's different again than the end goal thinking selfishly. Where what do I want out of this scenario is different than what's best for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's another switch that I think I had to make once we're married is it's not what you want out of this, it's what is best for us,
Right.
at the end of the day.
I'll say. I'll say. Um,
What do you think is the most difficult part?
what do I think is the most difficult part of marriage? I think it's the concept of identity.
Hmm.
I think before you get married, you're you. You're an individual. And yes, you are dating this other person as well, especially for us because we were dating for so long. So I think already the merging of identities or the forming of a couple identity was already there. But I think generally when you become married, there's a unified identity.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's finding who's Devon authentically. And we know Sinclair authentically is afraid of bugs no matter what. You okay?
Yep. I think there's just a little drive by.
Not the bug drive by,
Hmm.
the fly by with the June bug. But yeah, it's finding like who is Devon authentically,
Mhm.
and then who is Devon in a marriage with Sinclair?
Mhm.
Where do those two overlap? What are things that I'm not willing to compromise on with my own personal identity? What
Mhm.
are things you're not willing to compromise on with your own personal identity? And what are things that I know I've become because now I'm a husband to Sinclair?
What What are some of those things like you're not willing to compromise on in your identity?
It's a great question. I still haven't fully thought through those things yet, as far as 'cause I think I'm still in self discovery mode,
Mhm.
like the past year and a half, 2 years. 'Cause I think looking back, reflecting on my life, childhood, college, a lot was reaction based.
Mhm.
Um, a lot was out of necessity.
Mhm.
So now that I'm not necessarily to a comfortable place where I don't need to still do certain things, but where I'm a little bit less impacted by individuals, I'm now trying to figure out, okay, well, who am I just naturally? If
Mhm.
I were to go inside the forest and fourth bathe for three weeks, I feel like who would you be without any cameras, without having to appease XYZ people? Just who are you just naturally, right? Um so yeah, still discovering that. I think a part of who I am is a I don't know if a hard worker is the right.
Hustler.
I am a hustler. I'm a hard worker. I'm a visionary. I think dreamer is at the center for
Mm.
sure.
You would be if you were in the forest bathing for forest bathing for 3 weeks. You'd be doing a lot of
Tons of
dreaming.
ideas.
Yeah,
Oh
you'd
my
be.
goodness.
It would be like every hour.
Yeah.
Hey, Sinclair.
So yeah, I think at my core, I'm definitely a dreamer. At my core, I think I'm not a healthy person per se, but I think I'm health conscious
Mhm.
naturally, or at least active naturally.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a curious person, love to explore. Um, so yeah, I think those are still elements of me that I'm discovering or
Humor.
rediscovering. Oh yeah, I'm hilarious. That's a fact. I have a great sense of humor, a wide sense of humor. You know, I can go dark humor, I can go politically correct humor, I can go politically incorrect humor. It can go all over the place. I'm
Yeah,
just hilarious.
that you are.
That's a fact. And I think that that part of me is something that's been covered not in the marriage, but in my identity as a business owner,
Mm.
because I think I'm always trying to say the appropriate thing to not be offensive on social media or not be offensive in a meeting. But I think we've had conversations like when it's just me and you and I can just say whatever and I know I'm not gonna get judged. Hilarious.
That you are.
So yeah, I wish I can like wish I can say more of that type of stuff without the fear of the being canceled or persecution, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm hilarious. But then the follow up that like who am I within the marriage is still something that I'm developing, but
Mhm.
I do feel like there's things that I don't say or things that I don't do in the marriage because I don't want either you to be uncomfortable or I know that's not within our lifestyle now or Sinclair wouldn't want to do that. So it's like, all right, I don't bring it up or we don't do it.
Mhm.
Which some of it's good and I think some of it is not good. So
Mhm.
it's a matter of finding out what that balance is. And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the hardest parts of marriage is who are you and who are you in this marriage, how do you not necessarily blend the two, but how do you merge the two without losing pieces of who you were before the marriage?
Yeah.
Some of it I think is developing and growing, and I think some of it is compromising and people pleasing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just a matter of finding I think that healthy balance, and I think that's a hard, healthy balance to find. Um, Go ahead, Queen.
I know we have a follow up question, but before we get there, do you think that this is a struggle for all marriages, or do you think that specifically because we have been together for so young, it's maybe a little bit more of a struggle with us because, like you mentioned, we've really grown together, so it's hard to almost separate completely, right,
Mm,
our identities because, well, a lot of it we've developed being right next to each other.
yeah. So this, and I thought about this because of a conversation I had with someone at the dinner party,
Mm.
and she was basically saying like, you know, this my husband is my person. we've grown together. We know each other's pet peeves. We've learned each other. And at this point, if they were to go, Lord forbid, I wouldn't want anyone else. Like
Mm,
to be 45 and go back out there. Like I'm not changing for anybody else. I'm not like I'm me. So to that point and to your point, I think it's a general thing.
mm,
I think most marriages go through this, but I do think there's levels. I
mm-hmm.
think the younger you are, the more identity merging there's going to be because y'all literally grew up and developed together. I think the older y'all are, the harder it is to merge those identities. But
Mm-hmm.
and then I think possibly the harder it is to have a successful marriage because you're not willing to
Right.
merge.
And less compromise, I think, is being
Correct.
willing to be made.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think there's a part of the compromise that lends to a successful marriage. And I think there's probably a critical tipping point,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think you can compromise for so much, but then at some point, I think you start to over compromise in either direction, and then it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I think it's finding that nice balance of compromise and identity blending.
It's interesting because I feel like at some point then we will reach a point in our marriage where it's like, for different scenarios where it'll be kind of that conversation of
Yeah.
I hear you, I understand.
But no.
This is my line, right? Of where I've compromised to this point.
Mhm.
Hopefully we can figure out how we need to make this work, but this is the line of where I'm,
Exactly.
willing to compromise to.
Like you being vegan is like a hard line where it's like, Devon, I'm not doing it. And it's like me, it's not that I'm excited to be vegan. I see the health benefits of it. So
Mm.
I'm willing to do it where you're like, no, I'm
Yeah, I
good. I'm
just
not
seen
vegan.
too many people who go that way and end up right back. So I'm just like, can we just skip that phase and just keep this? Like, why do we need to go through the phase of realizing, dang, no, okay, there's some health benefits to, oh, I'm missing these critical nutrients and I need to come back. Like, can we just skip all that
Right.
and just moderate more of where we're currently at? Um, yeah, and of course, it's like for me, I know this is like a side conversation, but like, if you turned vegan, I would be willing to support that. I couldn't, especially if we have help one day with a chef or something like that. Do I want that to be forced upon me? No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, yeah, there are those lines where it's like, yes, I will do up until this, right?
Yeah.
But that's not something that I'm willing to compromise on.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what those types of conversations look like.
Right. Right. So, other side of the coin, to you, what is the best part of marriage?
The best part of marriage is having a built-in best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we've been blessed to find each other and like you're literally my best friend and like just we can just sit here in the backyard and just have a good time just talking and like that is entertaining or that is fulfilling that I don't because I feel like I've had times where I've had that FOMO of like especially like sometimes in high school like when I'd be at the dance studio and it's like oh dang I know my friends are out partying or whatever right which I not that I didn't love like my dance community but I've had those times of like FOMO and um but I feel like whenever I'm with you, I don't feel that. I'm just like,
Oh,
I want to be wherever Devon is, and I'm
mm-hmm.
I'm happy there.
Because it's popping.
Right, it's popping. I'm not really worried about what anybody else is doing, even if
Mm-hmm.
they're across the world at the finest beach. I'm like, yes, I would like for us to be there, but I'm not like, oh man. I'm just like, man, babe, we gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to experience things without you because it's not the same.
Yeah.
So I feel like yeah, it's just fun having somebody that literally whatever you're doing at any point in the day, like you can have fun or at least have a good time. Um, yeah, I think that's the most fun part is just having somebody that is around all the time. Your best friend's literally with you all the time.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think that is not that it's unique to our marriage, but unfortunately, I don't think every marriage has that.
Right.
And I think within COVID, it really shed light on that because some people were stuck in the house with
Yeah.
their, and I put the air quotes because we were in the house
Didn't
and
feel
it
stuck.
wasn't a stuck,
Right.
right? It was like, oh, thank God, this finally,
Right.
finally we get more time together. Whereas like, other people are like, dang, I'm stuck in the house with my wife or my husband all day. They're really getting on my nerves. And we saw divorces skyrocket because for the first time, you have to spend time with your person. So I think it's a huge blessing that we've been able to literally travel the world, have tons of memories, whether we're in the backyard, we're in Spain, Portugal, Cape Town is usually a good vibe. Dancing, chilling at the beach, meeting random people, not meeting random, like it's just Yeah, it's always fun. So
Yep.
that's good.
Yep.
That's good. That was kind of mine. So I need to shift it a little bit. And I think it's for me more so having the unconditional love from
Mm-hmm.
someone and acceptance from
Mm-hmm.
someone. I think like growing up, whether it's elementary school, I think I've gone through like a lot of ostracizing or being like the other person outside. Elementary school, middle school, high school a little bit, within my household a little bit, within family a little bit. So I think it was great to finally like be in a household and be with the person. It's like, oh no, it's my person.
Mm-hmm.
She loves me. She accepts me. Short hair with waves, locks, afro, beard, no
No beard.
beard, but she wants the beard. Um, but yeah, it's good to like be able to go through all of those different phases and still feel the same love.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would be probably my favorite part of marriage.
I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah, you want to cut my beard off?
Yep. You
You
felt the
took you took
hesitation.
a little breath. I'm gonna look like a completely different person.
I know. Can we do like a? I'm sure this will be years from now, so there'll be AI to be able to take your face, take off the beard, so we can see what it would look like beforehand. Like, do we really need to take the risk?
Not the
I
risk.
just feel like with technology, we can kind of see, so you
Uh-huh.
can be like, yeah, never mind.
I'm sure by then I can cut the beard off and it looks back, sew it back on.
Golly,
Though?
sew it back
Or
on.
like glue it back on.
You would want that?
No, I wouldn't want that, but
Okay.
I'm willing to. It's the compromise for marriage. I
Hey,
got you.
babe, you shave it off. I'm still here.
Yeah.
You
I think
wake
the
up a
AI is a
naked mole
smarter
rat
bet.
tomorrow. I'm still here.
Let's
Would
not
I?
curse
Would
me
I
like that.
look at you with the same? Mm-hmm.
No, not even. No.
It takes some time to get back
Understood. Understood. But yeah, my plan is 60. When it's all grayed out, go ahead and cut it. I'll look 30 again.
there. Mm-hmm.
No? All right. Think on it. Think on it. Let's see. Any other just like random questions, thoughts you have you want to share here?
I feel like there's something you said that um I had a follow-up question to, but it's lost me now.
Okay. All good. It was a nice, chill conversation.
Indeed.
Look forward to having more conversation with you. Let's do a little cheers. Hmm. All right. That one's good.
Not me choking.
Oh
Choking
goodness.
on the chip.
Strong. What'd you put in that coffee? Some tequila in there, huh?
Mine was pretty much gone, so it's just like coffee grounds and protein.
Coffee grounds and protein.
But just that stuff just getting cut
Oh
in
my
my throat.
goodness.
Man, this is gonna have some good bloopers this time.
Oh gosh. I've been married for 37 years. We met the first year of COVID.
Uh,
Oh, good stuff. All right. What's next?